But here's the big problem. When you get on that hamster wheel of we need the money now, 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 you end up foregoing, well, okay, we don't have time to look at this right now. Hi, Jeff Brasacci, the Plain English Attorney, and welcome to the video. Today, we are going to talk about the intersection between estate planning and charitable giving and fundraising. So we're going to get into how nonprofits and charities work, how they often have different goals when it comes to bringing in the revenue to fulfill their purpose. Just to give you a little bit of background on me and what I've done over the years, I've worked with a lot of different charitable and civic groups, nonprofits, charities, different causes. I actually have a certificate degree in nonprofit management from Duke University going way back. And I've also, as part of the Points of Light Foundation, they have a President's Volunteer Service Award, and I've got that for doing more than 4,000 hours of community service over a lifetime. And I'm really proud of that accomplishment and all that I've done with that. So I kind of know a little bit what I'm talking about. Now, here are some common things that I've seen across nonprofits, charities, and their functioning. There are really two big revenue phases that a nonprofit or a charity will go through in the way they will look at things. The first is the most common. It's the fundraising now for expenses now, or they're just looking ahead a year or maybe two. That's it. We need money. We need money now. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do to fundraise to get the money in? Because we've got these programs that we want to do. We've got staff and other stuff that we have to do overhead for, but we need the money now. Here's the cause that needs money now, and it needs money now. And it ends up taking up an awful lot of time in order to do that fundraising to the point where they're not looking at that other aspect, which is the long-term revenue and growth. And that's really where it becomes planned giving.
If you think it's important for educational videos like this to get out there, then please help us out by subscribing to the channel.
So let's just use a couple of the simplest examples. If you're putting together, like my civic group, I am in a Civitan club, and every year we do a cornhole tournament. All right. When you're putting together a fundraiser like that, you have to have a location. You have to have the cornhole tournament games set up. So you have to have a whole system around that. The real money doesn't necessarily come from people paying to participate in the actual tournament. It's often from things like a silent auction. So you're working with businesses to donate items, trips, services, uh, and so that all has to be planned out. So you have to get the items, have a system for bidding on it, and have a lot of volunteers, and it could raise a significant amount of money. And that money is being planned to go somewhere, to do something. And for a lot of nonprofits and charities, it's to keep their operations going. Although for my civic club, it was primarily, we're just an all volunteer group. We're not a 501c3 charity, although the international organization is. All that money was going to Special Olympics, North Carolina. Okay, but there was a lot of labor that goes around that. So it's not like it's something we do every other month. No, it's once a year. And it does take a significant amount of time and planning. So what are the different resources that are often required for that? It's organization. So you do need to have people who can organize all of this, and probably more importantly, write it down so that the next time it's done properly. We learn each time we do this. It's going to take volunteer hours. So there's labor. And then finally, it's the actual money resources. All right, so we do need to put some money in up front for certain things. If we can't get someone else to pay for it, like, okay, the venue, often the venue needs some kind of deposit. All right, so it's things like that that nonprofits and charities have to face when they're doing this big fundraiser. when it comes to planned giving, it's going to take more organization, not as much on the labor and the volunteer end. It's going to take more over many years to maintain whatever that particular program is. And on the money end, usually not much. So here's just an example on a planned giving campaign. If you create something, a legacy society, where people who are donating at least a minimal dollar amount in their estate plan or a percentage of their estate, then you're part of this legacy society. And yeah, maybe there's a little bit of a, okay, you get a lapel pin and you get a certificate. So there's a little bit of money on that front end. And then you recognize them at all the major fundraisers going forward. So if you've got 3 or 4 big fundraisers where people are gathering together and you're talking about it, it's like, okay, you always mention that legacy society, and you always have somewhere where they're putting their names into the program. Or if it's an online thing, okay, you reference the online thing, but people are being recognized and they're proud of what they're doing. That's a little more maintenance, but really it's not very labor intensive and it's not that expensive. So that's just looking more long term. But here's the big problem. When you get on that hamster wheel of we need the money now, 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 you end up foregoing, oh, okay, we don't have time to look at this right now. We'll look at it in 3 months. Well, 3 months becomes 6 months. 6 months becomes a year, and then a year becomes never. And so the cycle just keeps repeating until either the charity gets that they need to do this, or they may not be a charity very long, or interest dies out, or they just keep doing the same thing over and over again. And they're really fighting every single year to get the revenue that they need, where some upfront work on a planned giving program can help quite a bit after several years when people end up passing on and the money comes into the charity. So here's where I can end up helping a little bit because, all right, well, I'm an estate planning attorney. I understand these plan giving concepts and everything, but I do have another business, and it's online estate document preparation, not through a law firm. It's a do-it-yourself program, and you can learn more about it at estatepatch.com. So what exactly is it? What is estatepatch.com? What's this estate patch system? All right. It's two things. It's an educational system that talks about estate planning, and here's the different aspects. What's the difference between a will and a trust? In a lot of cases, when people are looking at estate planning, they want to do a revocable trust because they want to avoid the government, they want to avoid the court system, they want to avoid probate, but oh God, it's just so expensive to do it through an attorney. Okay, if you're on the do-it-yourself end, this is a relatively inexpensive way to do it without having to have an attorney involved. So on the document preparation part of this service, people can get into the system. It's kind of a subscription thing. They've got it for a full year. They can put together their documents, change them and amend them and download them and re-sign them as much as they want for that full year, and then it can end up getting renewed. But now they're getting these documents at a lot lower cost than having to go through an attorney. But now this system also is providing them all the background information. So it's not like some of these other services where they're just, okay, go on, do the documents. We've got this 3-minute video on what this is, and that's it. No, we've got we've got hours of stuff on um, the whole estate planning process, as well as if you're doing a revocable living trust, how do you fund your revocable living trust? So these are other programs that I end up selling separately. But look, we're putting it all into the estate patch system for people. But because it is not legal services, we can actually share revenue with the charity so they can become an affiliate, and they're going to get a percentage of the cost for setting this stuff up. So they can go to their donors and volunteers and other people that they work with and offer this and say, look, if you don't have your estate planning done and you don't really want to go through an attorney, and look, 72% of people out there do not have any estate plan whatsoever. And of that 28% who do have an estate plan, it's somewhere around maybe 5 to 8% don't want to use an attorney and they do it themselves. Well, this is a way that you can end up having uh, some revenue sharing. People can do it themselves. It's a lot more affordable, and they can actually get a revocable living trust so their estate avoids probate and do it themselves. So that's that short term. You can get some revenue up front. So it's going to justify putting a little bit of effort into coming up with the program to introduce this whole concept to the people that are already involved with the charity. Now, getting on to the more planned giving end of things, well, okay, there's the always that opportunity while you're talking about estate planning and the different documents that people typically need. Hey, you should really leave something to the charity. So this can be in the form of a specific dollar amount that goes into the will of the trust, or it can be a percentage of the estate. And I see a lot of people they feel an obligation morally to provide something to charity. And there just seems to be this magic 10% that most people gravitate towards, although there are different situations and different ways of doing it. But just what I've seen on the attorney end over the years is if people are charitably inclined, 10% seems about average. All right, that could be more, could be less. There are also other charitable planned giving techniques of naming the charity to receive all or portion of a life insurance policy. So the charity can now receive the life insurance. And it's part of this whole planned giving program where the charity is receiving something out of the estate planning process on the back end. There are also, I call it more front end, where there are tax things that can be done up front. If you have some very highly appreciated stock, well, okay, and you're planning on donating something to the charity anyway, donate the stock. So you get the deduction on the full value of the stock, but you don't have the taxes associated with it because the charity's getting the stock and they can sell it. And charities don't pay taxes on that stuff. So you're getting your deduction on the full value of the stock, but you're not having to pay capital gains taxes. Okay. We can also get into things like charitable remainder trusts and testamentary charitable remainder trusts, where there could be some very significant tax savings. What we're going to do is go ahead and that's going to be a video link that we'll put in here so that you can go and see the whole thing on charitable planned giving that I put together at a recent estate planning conference. It is geared a little bit more towards professionals, but it ended up being something that's pretty universal, especially if you are in a charity or a nonprofit on the board. These are more techniques and things that you would still get easily anyway. So we'll put that link in there to talk more about that charitable program. But the whole thing is, this is a way to get both your revenue up front as part of using this program and getting a percentage of it as an affiliate through an affiliate link, sending people there. And second, on the back end, working with your donors and other individuals associated with your charity to leave something to your nonprofit, to your charity, so that long term there's a way to do it. Now, I'm also going to put together some webinars and some other things, and this is going to end up being a good project for me when I get a little more time, and it's how to put together a planned giving program at the basic level. Like I mentioned, there's a legacy society or whatever you want to call it, where you're encouraging people to put the charity in their estate plan and you're recognizing them over time. So I will do a video on that. The other thing that we're going to do, just so that it's not all on the charity to do this, we're going to put together a webinar. Now, this is something that, again, if we're going to work with you as a charity, we're not going to work with every charity. I actually have to agree because I have to agree with your aims and your goals. So I'm open to that conversation, and we can talk about that and set things up as an affiliate for the estate patch system, and so you can get the revenue. But also the long term, talk about the charitable giving, planned giving programs that we can be put into place to help you. But the webinar that we're going to put online will guide through this whole process. This is just the introductory video. All right. So first, I want to thank you if you are in that nonprofit and charity realm. There are so many needs that we have in this country and in the world that are not just being taken care of by the government, it's being taken care of by people who care enough to organize and put together these nonprofits and charities for a cause that they believe in. So I want to thank you for the work that you're doing on that. And as I always tell my clients, please stay safe, plan ahead, and enjoy life. And whatever you do, make it a great day.